Ferny, before we do questions, is there anything special you want to share with everybody about?
Sure. So I did a webinar last night with Michelle Pescosolito. Some of the people I see on here, and so there's some overlap, and but there was something I presented on, and it's a concept. It was a concept of progressing through a business, and it's when you break it down as to how we all progress and get started. Obviously, you heard the story earlier a few minutes ago about me fumbling a little bit and pissing Diane off and uh, through her very gracious nature and very loving nature, she forgave me and we became great friends. So we all, I mean, we're not perfect, and we all start in the same place. We all start from zero. None of us are gifted with innate marketing skills. I was an engineer. I never studied business or marketing. And so earlier today, I was actually at a photo shoot for Black Belt magazine. My martial arts teacher, master, he's going to be on the cover of Black Belt magazine, and I actually wrote the cover story for that. So I'll be getting published on in Black Belt magazine over the next couple months. So excuse me. So I'm pretty excited about that. And over the years, over the 8 years that I've been studying martial arts, and actually it's paralleled my internet marketing career. I've come to notice that I've become quite the martial arts expert, and that's coming from my martial arts master. He said it himself. He's very impressed with my knowledge and understanding of martial arts. And I wanted to break something down because, if you know anything about martial arts, you know that there's belt, there's rankings. You get white belt when you get started. Black belt is obviously the cream of the crop of whatever system you might study, and then there's all the colors in between. And I want to draw out some colors and make a point. And really, what we're going to be doing at No Excuses next weekend is a very systematic way of approaching building a business. So the word system is very important, and we're going to be using a systematic approach. Um, so in going back to martial arts, in the martial arts, there's ranking systems like there's the white belt. Let me see. There's orange belt. At least for this is how my art goes. There's uh, yellow belt. There's a green belt. I'm drawing all these out. Green, purple, blue. There's about basically 10 levels. So I'm just gonna draw these out, and I'm gonna make a point because it parallels what we're talking about today with internet marketing and how people progress and succeed. There's a question that someone asked right now as to what's the average amount of money that it takes to learn and invest and succeed. Uh, that's required in order to start making some money. So what's the minimum or average that it takes? And so I'll answer that question in a moment. I just want to make this point. So there's these ranking systems that happen from white belt all the way to black belt. And when we get started in any martial art, it could be karate or whatever. I study a martial art called Hwarangdo. It's a Korean martial art, uh, so HRD for short. And so when a new person joins, they can barely keep their balance. They can they don't even know how to punch properly. Actually, most people, even a lot of black belts I've met, don't know how to punch properly. So their hand is crooked. It's weird, and they don't even notice it. So everyone starts in white belt, and they basically learn simple things like stances and punches. If you asked a white belt out of the gate to perform techniques that a black belt does, he wouldn't be able to do it. It's just impossible. And one of the things that some martial arts do is they actually insulate the lower ranks from the higher ranks, meaning they don't allow a white belt to view anyone doing orange belt techniques, and they don't allow a white belt to especially not view somebody doing black belt techniques. The reason why is because they might get scared. They might get scared because their belief system is not to the point where they believe they can perform these techniques. So the ranks progress incrementally, step by step, test by test, and at each level you learn a little bit more. So you master that level, and then you graduate to the next level and you learn a little bit more. and then you test and you graduate to the next level and you learn a little bit more. And depending on the system, this process can take either 1 to 3 years, for example. So where you're just incrementally going up. By the time somebody reaches black belt, and most people, if they're dedicated and committed, no matter if they think that performing these advanced techniques is possible for them, they eventually do get here, and they eventually are able to perform these techniques really well. How is that possible? It's because at each level there's incremental growth that happens, where what you once thought would be impossible for you as a white belt now becomes possible for you a year to 3 years later as a black belt. And so I've been very surprised that in my progression in the martial arts, where I didn't know anything, I was a complete novice, where I was able to take my almost 300-pound frame and do aerial maneuvers and throw myself and have other people throw me and land safely without getting hurt. As a black belt, some pretty impressive things that I've been able to learn as a result of the mentorship I've received. But it's as a result of incrementally going through the steps, getting better, mastering my level first before I decided to move on to the next level. And that is essentially why martial arts systems are called systems. They systematically take you from step by step and raise you a notch higher every few months until you are able to perform some pretty incredible things as a black belt, things that you never thought possible. So obviously at that point, your belief system. And so as you can see, there's a reason why I really enjoy the martial arts. It's because it taught me a lot about how I should approach my business, my internet business. Now I'm going to clear the screen here. Now I'm going to talk about internet marketing. You guys are probably going, what does this have to do with what we're doing here? Well, last night I showed people a blueprint of what a internet business looks like and how it looks like when you get started and how it progresses. I'm gonna just use some of these slides. I'm not gonna use all of them, but I think this is
No, sure. This is profound stuff. This is major.
Yeah. So
It's great.
so this is what I presented last night. This is what a six-figure business looks like. You essentially you drive some traffic. So Diane, you've been using social media for most of your traffic. We've all used capture pages. We all have an offer. We all use emails. That's how people got on this webinar, because we got followed up with an email. But this is what a six-figure business looks like. But this is not where you start. Diane, I hear an echo. Is that on your side?
It says it's popped up and says you may be experiencing degraded audio.
Oh, weird.
I'll mute for a second and then let me come back.
Okay, great. All right. So this is not where we start. We actually as in the internet marketing space, we start here. So what I recommend people to do, and what I recommend all my students to do, is plug into a system. And plug into like MLSP is an example of a system. There's other systems out there. I started with magnetic sponsoring. And so what you want to do to get started, and the way my business looked in the beginning, I made my first $10,000 online just driving traffic to the magnetic sponsoring system. That's all I did. Today, with systems that exist today, I've actually seen people by only focusing on traffic and allowing system owners like MLSP and other systems out there to take care of the capture page and the conversion side of things. People have made up to $24,000 per year, as far as I've seen. And this is how my business initially looked like in the first few months that I started my internet business. And so what happened is the way you make more money is you start taking on more responsibility. So initially you only focus on traffic, get really good at that. Like Diane uses social media. I was using SEO and PPC when I got started. Now we use other methods. And so as you progress, as you grow as a internet marketer or online marketer, eventually your business looks like this, where now you take on more responsibility. You not only are doing traffic and got good at that, now you take charge of the capture page. So you start creating your own custom capture page, and write your own headlines and optimize that so you improve your results. And what happens is when you take on more of these components yourself, you start making more money. So this is like moving from a white belt to one of the higher ranks, like the third rank. Let's say it's yellow belt in martial arts, where you incrementally took on something bigger responsibility. You learn more things. This time you learn how to create a capture page, and then as you move on, that's what a six-figure business could potentially look like. I've seen people only do traffic and their own custom capture pages, still driving those sales into their own another system like MLSP or something else. And then what happens is that they go, okay, so I'm making six figures or close to six figures now. Let me take it to the next level. So now they create their own offer. So they create their own products now. They take more responsibility for all the emails. They basically take on the responsibility of everything. And as simple as we've actually taken clients from overnight from having a six-figure business to a multiple six-figure business as a result of now having their own offers. They're still doing the system stuff. They're still promoting the system they were plugged into. But in addition to that, they created their own offer and are started to sell their own products. And all of a sudden, they're making a lot more money. So that's what we do with Andrew and Kate McShay. If you guys are going to No Excuses, you'll know who they are. Last year at No Excuses, they were starting at zero. They had zero results to speak of. And I believe it was in February. We took them from making about seven grand a month, 8 grand a month that they were making through MLSP. And we showed them how to basically triple that income by launching their own product. And it was an overnight thing. They were already generating a lot of traffic. They were driving it into MLSP, making plenty of money. But of course, they wanted more, and we showed them how to do it. And this is what they did. They basically created their own product, got their own merchant account, learned to process their own payments, got a shopping cart, etc. However, if you were a beginner and if I taught you all this at once and asked you to do it all at once, it would be the equivalent of asking a white belt to perform black belt techniques in the martial arts world. You probably wouldn't be able to do it. You probably would fail, get demotivated, and quit. So that I wanted to give people some perspective in terms of how things progress, and you don't have to learn everything, and you have to strategically buy materials, buy courses from Diane and other people based on where you're at right now. If you're investing in a course that teaches you how to create video sales letters or that stuff, but you haven't first learned the fundamentals, the basics of driving traffic to an existing offer, then you're kind of skipping ahead. So think about that in terms of how you're approaching your business. Are you taking on too much? And if you are taking on too much, that's probably a reason as to why it is you're probably not getting the results, because you're overwhelming yourself by trying to learn multiple disciplines. Essentially, you mentioned you said something earlier about people saying, "Oh, well, I don't need no excuses because I already know that stuff." Well, one, we have advanced trainers, so we're not just focusing on the beginner stuff. But what I find even the martial arts world, and I definitely see it in the online world, is that people who walk into my studio, you got to understand. I train with someone who's a grandmaster. I just came from a photo shoot with Black Belt Magazine. He's a martial arts Hall of Famer. I consider him on the genius level in terms of martial artist. What he sees is incredible. He sees things that other people can't see in terms of what happens. So this is who I've been around for the past eight years or so, and so I've gotten some perspective. And every few months somebody walks into my studio and says, "Oh, I studied Hapkido for 3 years. I'm this degree black belt, or I studied karate or whatever." They studied all other kinds of stuff, and they're like, "Can I just skip this stuff and go right into the advanced stuff?" And we in the nicest way as possible, because obviously we don't want to scare them away. We say, no, everybody starts at white belt, but if you're really that good, you can progress as quickly as you want through the ranks and get your black belt in a short period of time as possible. I mean, some people have done it in as little as 6 months, gotten their black belt. and that's how we basically sell those people. What they end up finding as they start is that they're not very good, and as we see them progress, whatever they were learning with their other teacher, they didn't learn it very well. So even though they think they know things, the techniques that are at the different ranks, when we observe them doing those things, we clearly see that they're doing it wrong. And we basically use this opportunity as they're working through the ranks to, one, humble them, to realize how much they don't know, and two, to correct what they thought they knew. And so if you're somebody who's saying, I don't need what the first half of the curriculum and no excuses, I already know that stuff, but you're not making money, then something tells me that you need to be humbled and that you have some correcting to do in your business. And so that's another little analogy here, and I see it all the time, both in the martial arts world and I see it in the marketing world as well. Just people think they already know certain things, and I was in this category as well. For 2 years, I thought I knew things, and I was like, I don't need to learn this stuff. I want to get to some of the advanced stuff, some of the advanced techniques, and I bought a bunch of courses teaching me advanced stuff when I hadn't really implemented what was over here yet, which is why I spent 2 years learning a whole lot but not doing anything, and I made zero money.
So profound. It's Fernie, you used the word correct, and I love that you used the word correct. I use the word correction a lot when I'm talking to people, particularly students, because I learned early on from my mentor that receiving correction was the fastest path to my success. Resisting correction would slow me down. Receiving and humbly and openly receiving and actually asking for correction was the key to going as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. When we're able to drop our ego and just go in, and if you can execute, if you have mastery, then it's going to be no big deal. You'll be done, and you'll progress. If you don't have mastery, that's when you're going to hit the wall and realize you don't have it. And it's profound. And now as I look back at my own business, I've been very successful. I've done very well. But I do not have mastery in certain areas. And, and I'm aware of that and admit it very openly. And so mastering that makes me very excited. Because the idea of taking what I can do and what all of you can do and then adding more traffic, more eyeballs, more people, more energy to it, that's pretty darn exciting. And if you're using an existing offer like MLSP or any other things out there, imagine being able to get more people in front of it, and then imagine being able to customize it, and then imagine being able to learn to write compelling emails, and then imagine being able to create your own offer, even if only like bonus offers, like all the the big earners do. They maybe create bonus offers around an existing offer that somebody else has put together, and then eventually your own product. Mm-hmm. That's exciting.
Yeah, and Diane, I mean, you say there's certain components that you haven't taken on that could easily multiply your income, but because you've gotten so good at what you are doing, it makes you more effective than more people doing what you're doing. It allows you to make more money, and so just because, say, you're a yellow belt doesn't mean you're going to lose a fight to a black belt. If that black belt got to their rank for the sake of getting ranked but not really mastering their techniques at each level, then it is very feasible that a yellow belt can defeat a white belt in a black belt in a fight if the white belt really, really knows their techniques really well and have mastery of them.
See, and I love that you said that, because in my career, that's something that I've been able to do. I've been able to come in very high in all these contests, beating people that, by all rights, I shouldn't have been able to. Mm-hmm. But with the mastery in certain areas. But I just want to show all of you guys, like I'm sitting here in humility saying to you that, guys, no matter how successful you are, how long you've been around, how much money you've made, there's always something more to learn or to add to this. The process doesn't change. This diagram that Ferny has up doesn't change. But your mastery or capacity in each of the areas can and does change over time with your, with your study and with your skill set and with your consistency, which is what a lot of people lack. It's just that pure consistency. I mean, Ferny, how often do you go to the studio? to work out? How often do you practice all that stuff? You can't just go once a month on a Tuesday and
Right.
hope that you're going to get good.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of self defense programs that are sold. You can learn how to defend yourself with a CD, and or with a DVD. You can watch it from home and all of a sudden become a master. It's ridiculous, but that's the nature of the industry. And so the other thing I want to point out is the key difference here in terms of we're the people going to No Excuses are not going there for the first half of the event. They're not going there to learn. They're going there to do. This is
ooh,
we're in doing mode. The learning, actually, we give people pre-assignments. We have them learn everything they need to learn before the event. And so the learning happens before. During the event, we're focused on action and doing and results. That's all we care about. We don't care how good you feel about what you learned. We care about you getting results. And so if you're somebody that's lacking results, then this is something you need to consider, whether it's via live stream or if you already have your ticket, then great. But results are the only thing that matter. It's the only reason why we're all here. Results in terms of money is the only reason why we're doing this. It's because we want to support our families. We want to give them the things that uh, our current job might not be able to provide for them. And so ultimately, it doesn't matter what you're learning. It only matters what you get to implement and do.
how often have you guys gone to an event or watched a live stream or invested in something where at the end of it you were making a list of all your quote unquote action items for when you get home? And then all of a sudden you get home and life gets in the way.
Hmm.
So what happens when you go to an event and you actually do and execute during the event so that Sunday night rolls around and you can sit there and literally be able to say, I did this? That's a big deal. Very big deal.